Holy cow, we've reached 100 beer reviews. So what is it? I'll give you a hint. The glassware does not give it away. See you on the other side. Hey, it's Brainmuffin back with review number 100. When I started doing these a few years ago, I'd never thought I'd be all the way here to 100. I kind of just did it as a whim. I got some feedback, and slowly over time I started doing them here and there. In this past year, I've been a bit more concentrated. So this is 100 total. When we reach 100 for 2017, if we reach that goal, we will definitely have another centennial celebration. So, what in the world could it be? Well, it's one of my favorite beers for this time of year, and it's also from one of my favorite breweries because of what they tend to do with their beers. They barrel age them in bourbon barrels. And I've never had their bourbon, which they do make, which is also a bit of a rarity that they make their own bourbon and then they age their own beer in it. Well, they also have one of my favorite stouts that they barrel age, and a raspberry porter that was fantastic they barrel aged. So who else could it be but Kentucky Bourbon Pumpkin Barrel Ale. This is ale brewed with natural pumpkin flavors and spices and aged in oak bourbon barrels. If I remember, it's 10%. It doesn't say on Untapped or I went too far, but I'll put it this way. Let's see if I cancel. Yes, 10%. This is definitely one of my favorite. No, it's the favorite so far. Now, this year I am trying a bunch of pumpkin beers that I haven't tried previously. So who knows? Maybe there's some other pumpkin beer out there that's going to take my favorite. But so far, every year, this is the one I look forward to. It's on a 4-pack. It isn't cheap. And at 10%, it's not one that you're just going to have a couple and drive home. At least not for someone like me. Oh, bourbon and spice right on the nose. It's been sitting out. It should be a good temperature, and it should fill this glass nicely. So there we go. I know it's most likely artificially carbonated, but I don't care. I don't know if it's bright tank. There's a little bit of yeast in the bottom, but not a whole lot. But there you go. So you have a nice clear orange beer, pale, really good. And on the nose, it has that right balance of allspice, nutmeg, and cinnamon. Some of which I've had have too much nutmeg, others have too much allspice. This one has a nice, and there's a hint of vanilla there, just a hint. And I'll let you know where the vanilla comes from, because it's not a flavor that's added. Oh, this is a sipping beer if there ever was one. This, I wish it had a head on it that lasted longer. That's my only complaint. It does come back a bit, but that's why I think it's bright tank. I think it's semi-filtered, and they use a bright tank, and so you get a little bit of residue in the bottom of the glass, but not much. I mean the bottle. But you get bourbon, you get the vanilla from the oak and from the bourbon. You do get a bourbon flavor. It has a warming. There's a slow build warm at 10%. It's a little hard to hide that. I don't know how long they aged this, but whatever it is, it's the right color, it's the right flavor, it's the right aroma. This is a very good beer. I really ought to visit their brewery down there in Lexington. At least I think that's where it is. Alltech is in Lexington as far as I know. And I need to try their bourbon. There's just a hint of bourbon bitterness, just a hint. It's so smooth. The warmer this gets, the better it's going to get. It's been sitting out a while, but it's not, it's not quite up to 45 degrees. But once it gets closer to 50, you get more vanilla from the oak. You get more bourbon aroma. They also have a honey barrel, which I did early last year, made from local honey. They really pride themselves on trying to get as many local ingredients from different farmers as they can. Lexington is still surrounded by a lot of horse farms and rolling hills and farms. It's not highly industrialized, thank goodness. But this is a very good, if you think you like pumpkin beers and you like ones, and this is kind of like, it's an imperial in its design, but it doesn't blow you over with a single ingredient. It blows you over with all of them. The bourbon, the allspice, the nutmeg. I believe there's some cinnamon in there. The pumpkin, the vanilla from the oak, and the oak flavors, and the malt backbone, and the slight bitterness. It just all hits you as this big wave. And it's not a particular thing, but it's nice. It's definitely a sipping beer. You could probably even make a float out of this. I've been tempted to do that with their stout. They have a bourbon barrel aged stout that's very good. Back when I just did stuff for the Cincinnati Beer Fest, I'm going to check in at 5 before I forget. I had a thing called a double barrel where you take their bourbon barrel stout. We actually started mixing these. I think they named them later. But you do that, and then you take their Kentucky Ale, which is the bourbon Kentucky Ale. The Kentucky Ale is okay, but it's very good on the bourbon does all kinds of wonderful things to to mediocre beers. So you do half and half in the sample glass, and it's very good. I've also mixed their bourbon, the stout, and the raspberry porter. That's also an interesting mix. The raspberry porter is one I think would go really well with chocolate ice cream in it, but I've never tried that. This feels that way. I did get a badge, Sky's the Limit, 59, level 59, because of another high grav beer. But there you go. There's my beer review number 100 in a stone glass. I almost wore my Dogfish Head shirt, so I would have had Dogfish Head shirt, stone glass, and Kentucky Ale. But this is how you do bourbon barrel aging. Nice hint of bitterness, vanilla. You got the bourbon flavor. You got hints of malts on the backbone. No bitterness. You know, I don't like really bitter bourbon. I like smooth bourbon. That's why I suspect theirs is pretty smooth. I've had some bourbon barrel aged stuff that was bitter city. I did some with Kentucky Tavern on my own homebrew, and it was crap because I used a crap bourbon. But the vanilla oak chips were very good. I mean, the oak chips that I soaked and then put in there, got some nice vanilla flavors from that. It's very good. This is an excellent beer to sit around this time of year in the fall. Sit around outside. Maybe you got a small, when it's 60 degrees, 50 degrees, sometimes at night, you got a small little fire going in a fire pit, and you're just maybe you're roasting some marshmallows, making s'mores. This is the perfect beer to just sit there and enjoy the evening. You only need one. You can drink this over several hours, and trust me, you won't want to do them faster than that. So 5 out of 5 to Alltech. Thank you very much. Thank you for 100 beer reviews. I appreciate every person that has viewed and commented. I've had a bunch of people share. I know there's a lot of beer reviewers out there on YouTube. There's some that get thousands of views, and I'm kind of in between. I've had several of them subscribe. They leave comments. I try to get back to watching their reviews as well. I really like it when I post a review and other reviewers of that same beer come up, because I want to I'll go and watch and listen. What did they pick out that I didn't? What did they like that I didn't? What did I like that they didn't? And we kind of have this conversation vicarious, virtually, if you will, because I may leave a comment and say, hey, I'm glad you picked up on that, or what about this? And that encourages some of them to come back to my channel and make comments on my beer reviews, and that's great. We got, I know the Louisiana beer reviews, he and I have talked about doing stuff, but I really do want to try to figure out how we can do some kind of remote, the something plantain, I forget the first part. He does his reviews late at night many times, and he's trying to be quiet because he's got kids that are trying to sleep. That's why he does a bunch of them at once. But somehow, guys, we got to, either through Skype or something, we can all get the same beer. We don't have to be next to one another. We'll record it. We do something like that. We kind of give our thoughts and flavors. I don't have a way to do a real good vidcast where it'd be one person, but maybe we can figure out something. Maybe get some software or whatever. I am more than open to it. But 100 beer reviews down and out there in the wild. Please let me know what you think about this beer. Please also think about my beer reviews, what you like, you don't like. And some people don't like that I don't finish these off. But the main reason I don't finish them off on camera is because this is about the taste and qualities and other things of beer. I've already given you my opinions of the beer, what I like, how I would pair it. Why do you need to sit me here and then finish it off? Plus, I do a bunch of these one after the other, usually, not always. And I'd be flat out drunk as a skunk by the time I got to this one. So 100 down, here's to 100 more. Thank you, World Class Bullshitters, for your support. Check us also out on the Fancast. We do it is a podcast about the WCBS podcast. We are going to start expanding out that as well to other podcasts and other ideas. We've got a bunch of things cooking. We're really just waiting for Schlocktoberfest to get done on the main channel because it's pulling a lot of resources from our side as well. Thank you. I will put links in the description to all this stuff. Brainmuffin on Twitter, my minds.com channel, my vid.me channel where my videos are starting to show up there as well. And thank you so much for your support, and we will see you on the next 100. Bye.